What happens when you push yourself to the brink of burnout, working 50-hour weeks? What do you do when you're surrounded by the all-pervasive notion of relentless entrepreneurial hustle in a city that never sleeps? One that suggests that you're not really successful if you're not in constant motion or always hustling. Welcome to episode 2 of season 8 of the Womenpreneur Asia podcast. I'm your host, Krista Gun, dedicated to delving into the journeys and insights of Asian women entrepreneurs. This episode is brought to you by Redbox Studio. Today, we're joined by Mandy Pao from Hong Kong, the visionary behind the Aligned Entrepreneurs. Mandy's entrepreneurial voyage was sparked by burnout from her initial venture, a branding and marketing agency. Our conversation today is particularly illuminating as Mandy bravely unravels the less discussed facets of entrepreneurship. She sheds light on the pressure to conform to societal standards, especially prevalent in Hong Kong, where success is often equated with perpetual busyness. Mandy shares candidly about the challenges of navigating this paradigm, where business triumph is often measured by headcount rather than personal fulfillment. Her pivotal moment arrived with burnout, prompting a profound reassessment of priorities. Through transformative measures, Mandy not only revitalized her own well-being but also recalibrated her business for greater success and satisfaction. Today, she attests to earning more while embracing a more balanced lifestyle, a testament to the power of aligning personal values with business pursuits. If you found yourself questioning the relentless pursuit of growth or yearning for a deeper sense of purpose in your entrepreneurial journey, this episode is essential listening. Join us as Mandy shares her inspiring story of resilience, reinvention, and the pursuit of aligned success. Hello and welcome to Womenpreneur Asia, Mandy.
Hi, thank you for having me, Krista.
Mandy, I know we're going to have a great conversation today based on some really important topics that entrepreneurs rarely discuss. And I'm really excited to have you here on the podcast. But first, before we get into what you're doing, I like to dig into this statement, which is where you say, I am proud of coming out of society's expectation of the definition of success and redefining my own terms. Share with us what this means and really how you came to this conclusion.
Okay, well, I guess in a short form, I basically got into burnout in 2022. The year before, at the end of 2022, I basically got into burnout, and it was kind of like, I think the reason why I got into burnout, it's because my first job was in luxury fashion PR. I guess unless you have like a professional degree like doctors or like lawyer, you're pretty set with knowing what to do. But I think after I graduated, I basically studied in the UK, got a psychology degree. So I didn't really know what kind of job that I want to be in. So I got back to Hong Kong and, one of my friends basically introduced me to this opportunity to work for one of the leading luxury fashion PR company in Hong Kong. At first, I was like, oh, okay, it sounds really exciting. That's why I took on the opportunity because I was like, it sounds fun. I didn't really know what to expect, but it sounds fun. It sounds like a good opportunity that I can work with a lot of big brands. So I was expecting that I can learn a lot as well. But things didn't really turn out the way that I was expecting. But when I was studying in the UK, like the environment and the pace in the UK is very different from Hong Kong as well. So it's just a lot of changes that I need to adapt the first year while I was being back in Hong Kong. So after 1 year in that job, I just realized that that's not really aligned with my personality and my values. That's the first, I guess that's the first moment where it kind of hit me quite hard. And I just know that, okay, if I'm not really making money that makes me happy, like what's the point, right? That basically drive me to leading me to start my own creative agency. And so I was basically like freelancing a little bit like here and there. And then like I got to a point where I felt like I was comfortable to start an agency. So I basically managed to grow my creative agency from 1 person to a team of 8 just within 2 years without any funding help. So it was very fast paced. I was really happy about it. But somewhere along the journey, I was feeling very disconnected from myself. And I would, obviously going back to your questions, like why do I come to a statement like that? It's because I felt like now I look back, I was kind of like fulfilling what the society tells me, the bigger the better. Like when we go out to networking event, we often get asked, what do you do? And probably the third or fourth questions would be, how big is your team? Then people kind of indicate how successful you are by the size of your team, so which is kind of crazy. When you're busy building your own business or like your own baby, you wouldn't really have time to take out to think about, is that really what I want? Because you kind of just, especially if it was my first time, and obviously no one tells me what's right and wrong, and it's just my experience just tell me I was just really upset like all the time. And I wasn't really like present with any of my friends or like family or my partner, and that basically really hit me. So by the end of 2022, I finally got into burnout. And that's the biggest realization that I basically gave to me, that I wanted to, when I first started to make a decision of being an entrepreneur, I want freedom. But then, I think a lot of people probably are going through the same journey. Like, we thought that's the way out to freedom. But then, it was probably 9 to 5 before, but now it's become 24/7. It's like a full-time 24/7 job. I think after the burnout, I'm really grateful for that, because it kind of forced me to be really reflecting what I want in my life and bring me to what I'm doing today. And also, kind of help me to reset my own definition of success in my life, basically.
So from the moment that you realize that until today, you've started another business, right? So, which is probably a great way to let us know, what is this other business that came out of that burnout?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I basically started a coaching and community platform called the Aligned Entrepreneurs. The reason why I started this, and actually it's a very new project, dear to my heart. From that experience, I've turned into a biggest advocate of work-life balance and trying to find a way to craft a business model that works for our desired lifestyle and also our values. So I kind of dropped all the expectations of, growing the big company. I just know that it's not really for my personality. And I think before I was very, I would be shied away from telling people that I don't have any full time. I have like contractors, but now I'm so proud to tell people that I actually have, managed. Last year, I actually managed, because of the burnout, I actually have managed to reset the business model to be much more lean. And the offering is completely different, but I reduced 50% of my work time and triple my income. So that was kind of like a crazy transformation, because how I just focus on doing less and doing things smarter, and I actually managed to able to enjoy more in life. So the Aligned Entrepreneur is a platform where I basically unpacked all the things that I've used in last year, and I basically share with people who wants to learn how to work smarter and also try to start living the life by aligning with their values. So that's kind of my biggest mission now. And I wanted to basically show people that there is a way. It's not impossible. There is a way to work smarter, so then we can start living life, basically.
I was just curious, as you were talking, is it something about working hard that is in the Hong Kongers'
Hong Kong, yeah.
So
I definitely think it's very ingrained in our mindset, because when I was running the agency with a team of 8, now when I think back, it's just kind of crazy, because it's just really drained every part of my body and my soul into building the agency, and I didn't really even think about taking rest or how I'm impacting people around me. And I think it's definitely a really strong culture where we think the bigger the better, and the more busier if you're not busy, or if you're taking a break, that's not normal. But that's really not okay, right, to set a culture like that. And that's why again, the whole point of the Aligned Entrepreneur is just to go against that culture, and there is a way to work smarter and focus on simplifying everything while you're still making the business profitable. I remember when I was traveling, when I was running the agency, I would often get anxiety, and I wouldn't be able to relax when I was traveling. So I always just get really anxious, because I feel I can't really leave the business without me being involved. So that's one. Or even, on a daily basis, if I go for lunch more than an hour, I will feel really guilty about it. So I think that's kind of the Hong Kong culture, where, everybody expect you to reply to email within 24 hours. If you don't, then they probably think that like there is something wrong with...
Or you dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think definitely. I mean, I don't know, like how is it like in your country though?
I think it's pretty much the same. People are always, on the go. And like you said, if you're not busy, it's like you're useless, right?
Yeah. And it's crazy. Yeah. And
the guilt.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like, I think, burnout is such a understatement. Like, I feel like everybody should kind of like be okay to talk about it and like be okay to admit it as well, and be okay to kind of give yourself some break and pause and see where things can be reset, basically. And yeah, like, so, and not, I guess, not just in, like Asia, right? I think like worldwide, like, this is just how we are so like ingrained that like working more than like 60 hours a week is completely normal, but which is not. Like, I always say that don't work more than we live. Like, I think that's, I saw that somewhere and it really hit hard to me. Like, and I think that I was completely the opposite before. Like, I definitely have worked more than I live, and that kind of like hit me, because, the whole point of building a business or like making money is for us to be happy in life. But if we don't really create a work setup that make us happy and being able to enjoy life in the first place, what's the point, kind of? Yeah.
That's a good thing to talk about also, because I think a lot of times people look at entrepreneurship as the hustle, it's the grind, right? Like, you have to do all these things, and if you're not doing these things, you feel like you're not doing what an entrepreneur is supposed to do. Yeah. Even though we have no Bible of entrepreneurship anyway, but that's what it's supposed to be. So in your case, once you realized that you were actually burnt out, and then you started this other business, the Aligned Entrepreneur, to help others. Is this mainly women, or do you help men and women?
Well, actually, there was a part of story that I didn't share just now as well. So the reason why the burnout hits me really hard is because my partner, he also runs his own practice in Hong Kong as well. And he also got into burnout. So he basically is the one who comes to me and say like, look, like, because, like by that point, we're kind of like talking about the next step, like, having a family and stuff like that. But he was the one who comes to me and said like, if you keep running the agency like this, I don't really see that's possible in any time, like in the future. So I think that's what hits me really hard, because I actually didn't really realize how much it was impacting me and him and, our relationship. Because every time after work, I would just have dinner and we were trying to spend some time at night, like watching some TV, but I would just be asleep in 30 minutes. So I wouldn't really be able to spend time with him. Obviously, like having the burnout, it gives me the opportunity to really reflect what has been impacting me. And so it's not just me, it's not just impacting me in all aspects, but it's like the people around me as well. So, yeah.
So it was also affecting your relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
That transition, I'm very interested in that part when you got out of it.
To be honest, this is kind of like the conversation happened between me and my partner for more than 2 years already, because I think he's noticed that long time already. But when you're in it, you just kind of like, yes, I'm fine, like, don't worry about me. And until it gets to a point where I feel like, okay, it's really not good now. And by the end of 2022, I basically make a decision to get rid of everyone in my agency. That was a really bold move, which it takes me a lot of courage to do that, because obviously I really care about people that I work with, but I just feel like I wasn't really have the right capacity to take care of people anymore. So it happens at quite a good timing as well. Right after that, I was going back to the UK for Christmas for basically a month. So that month gave me enough time to really try to reflect and also like recharge my body. And I remember when I first week when I got to the UK, I was like heavily sick. I think it's just all the accumulated stress that, built in the past years. So I was basically like most sick in my life. Probably I was just like not feeling well, and and I'm the type of person that I never really get sick. So it was, quite a big thing for me. And then after that, I got back to Hong Kong, and obviously I kind of have the ideas already, what I wanted to do. I still love, working with the clients that I have, and they still would love to work with me. So I just basically very naturally, I just become like a consultant and coach. And obviously when I started out, I was very nervous because it's something new, right? You just don't know what to happen and what to expect. And, when should I, start promoting myself? How should I position myself? It's almost like kind of starting a new business. But I think I have really good relationship with the clients that I have, and I'm very lucky that they still wanted to work with me. So that kind of helped me to transition into last year, basically. And I think, basically last year, and I was kind of surprised because I do much less, and I even have every Friday I was off. So only like 4 days work week, under 25 hours. But crazy is I increased my income by 300%. So basically that was the moment where I was like, oh my God, freedom. I was so freedom. And, I traveled to Bali whenever I want. I basically spent 2 months in Bali at the end of last year as well. So after I kind of built up the whole system and realizing, there are things that you can actually do to be able to help you to achieve that phase much quicker, but less hassle. So I just can't wait to pack everything up and kind of share with everyone. That's the reason why the Aligned Entrepreneur is born. So right now I basically just focus on helping entrepreneurs to align with their values and building a very lean business model. So then they can basically have time to enjoy life. So I guess that's the transformation period in 2023, like last year. The first quarter, definitely very scary. And then, I think Q2, Q3, I kind of get the sense of how to, navigate through things. And I think this year is just a year where I would still feel this year, it's kind of the year that I consolidate everything and I'm ready to share. Because I think last year, obviously, is still quite new for me. I was trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. I think this year, I'm very confident that I have the formula that would, I'm happy to share and, ready to share with everyone. So I guess last year, it was a critical, pivotal year for me to transition into what I'm doing now.
Wow. That's a great story also, because I think by helping others, you're also helping yourself.
100%. And I feel like the biggest difference now, it's I have much more capacity, with basically to serve all the clients that I have. And I'm quite selective with who I work with as well. So I only select clients that I want to work with, and also, projects that I feel it would bring meanings to the community and also the society. People who knows me, they know that I'm a big, wellness and well-being kind of individual. So somehow people or clients that I attract are kind of within that space. So recently, there are also different health coaches come to me and wanting me to help them to build their platform as well. So I would say from my fulfillment perspective, I'm just much more happier, because I feel like when I was running an agency, I was in completely different intention and mindset, because I have so many bills I need to pay. So whatever project comes to me, I was just okay, obviously I still put all my heart to help those clients, but it's just not to the level where I am now, helping the clients that I truly want them to be successful, so then I can amplify, their business to be able to benefit more people in the world as well. So again, I think all it comes down to really aligning with my values, freedom, flexibility, and also wanting to help with more people in the wellness, health kind of space as well. Yeah.
I also realized that as you're talking a lot about values and purpose and intention.
Definitely. The formula that I'm using, it's to help people to work less and work smarter, so then they can, gain freedom. But I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to I'm not saying that the business model or the method that I'm advocating, it works for everyone. It kind of has to work for people who don't really want constant business expansion. They want to focus on aligning with their personal lifestyle. Because some people, they just love growing a business. They don't really care about work-life balance, or they don't really care about enjoying their personal lifestyle currently. My method wouldn't be suitable for those people, but definitely people who are, and I believe generation why we become entrepreneurs, because we wanted to be able to travel whenever we want, location free. We need to be mobile, and we wanted to be able to just basically enjoy life, right? So I guess my method would be aligned with people who have the values of wanting freedom and flexibility in their life, basically.
Yeah. In your case, how do you make the announcement to your clients, those who were with you from the beginning?
Yeah, so I mean, with me at the beginning, so basically last year, right? At the beginning, I was kind of still figuring out what works and what doesn't work. So we didn't really announce the launch of the Aligned Entrepreneur until this year, to be honest. But last year, again, like I had really good relationship with all the clients. They really enjoy working with me. That's why they were like, okay, I was trying to propose and say, hey, look, like, I wanted to propose another way that works for you probably better. And I actually come up with something that again, like I feel like relationship, it kind of has to be a win-win situation, right? So I kind of come up with something that I feel like it's going to be suitable for them as well. It's going to be less less money that they have to pay. So I kind of just coach them while helping them to find people that they need. And I help them to also train those people as well. So I'm a big advocate of outsourcing to contractors and freelancers. I love working with people in Philippines, and they're great. Currently, one of the things that I help clients to do is to help them to outsource tasks that doesn't really generate high income for them to contractors in Philippines. And I also help them to set up the system so they can train those people. In that way, I think it works so well for startup because outsourcing to an agency is so expensive. It's going to break the bank at one point if you keep outsourcing.
And you were running an agency, right?
Yeah. And
so you can basically tell them like, here's what I learned. Here's what I'm sharing with you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I feel like both things that I'm running, it serves the purpose to certain type of business. But I think for most startup, especially the one that aligns with my value, like freedom and flexibility, people like that, we don't like people management, like less people, the better. And, no full-time, ideally, just keeping the business model as simple as possible. So I think that's the best way. Like that's exactly how I'm doing it for my own business now as well, that I basically have a network of contractor. And the way how I basically get myself freedom is I set up a law system and templates so then they can basically follow those. So you don't have to be like, like spending so much time to be hands-on training with them and kind of like get on like daily or weekly meeting with the team members. And I think that, being a business owner, you kind of just wanted to take charge of two things, right? Like your time and energy. So that's like a great way to outsource, having a very cost-effective team, and also at the same time doesn't lose what you want the business to be through building those systems, basically.
So it seems to me that you're more than just a coaching platform or a coaching business.
I mean, yeah, I guess so basically I have two sides of, I would say, skills or approach that I help entrepreneurs. I have a very limited spot. So I have 3 to 5 like client that I actually help them to, but that's like a really limited spot kind of like client. And then other than those, it was like, it's basically like group coaching, and I get on like a 6-week intensive curriculum kind of like coaching to teach. My cohort is basically called Work Less, Live More. So I have like a step-by-step guide to teach people how to figure out what they want in their life, and how can we like design a lifestyle that works for that, and then also step-by-step guide on how you can build a business model that aligns with your values, which is lean and easy, setting up system, marketing funnel, and that. So that's exactly what I did last year to be able to get me to where I am today. I have that like kind of like package it up to share with people who is a little bit more like early stage startup. But for people who, people who got burnout, or like a business owner that they wanted to stream down their business, I actually help them to set up the system as well. But again, like I guess my whole perspective and my whole approach is to help people to simplify everything and then help them to train the staff up. And then after that, my mission is done, then I'll be gone. I truly believe for startup, it's just not wise to keep outsourcing to agency because it's just so expensive. But obviously, if a business is willing to have some investment, or they have the money to be willing to spend it to the agency, and they want top-notch quality service without any staff being involved, then obviously having the agency to help would be wonderful. But in reality, not many startups can do that, right?
Basically, you've taken your experience from running your agency, and that also gives you a lot of credibility, right? Because then you can tell them that here's what I did, or here's what I was doing. And
Yeah.
right now, here's a better solution for that.
Yes,
Instead
100%.
of one, that, like you have to keep on outsourcing to an agency to do agency work.
Yeah, I just love like helping people to build systems, and I feel like every part of the business should be systemized if we want freedom. And that's how I did it as well. Like people often ask me, oh, how can you just work in Bali for 2 months, like barely checking your email, and and you only have contractors. But that's exactly how I do it. I just create a system, the freelancers do it. And obviously I have quite a specific way how I train my VA and my project management. So she will be the one who helped me to take care of client, as well as like managing the team for me. And so, yeah, like that's, I guess, again, like that's a way to work smarter, right? I feel like, with my previous experience, I felt, oh my God, I can't go on, holidays more than a month. And like, how can I just leave it for my staff? And, high overhead, inflexible. I think it's just too much. And I'm so glad that I found a way where it allows me to kind of be unplugged from the business whenever I want. And in short, I'm happier than ever, like with the lifestyle that I'm living now. So
that is so good to hear. Because I think at heart, you really enjoy your freedom.
100%.
You really do.
Yeah.
It's not just about the holidays, right? It's just the freedom.
I think also like just being able to switch on and off the business whenever I want. If I want more clients, and then I will take on more clients. But if I don't want client and I just wanted to kind of like take a break, so I would just kind of like dial down the business a little bit. And I think that's that's a really beautiful thing that I would say I've found. And being able to just like step out and step in whenever I want, and being able to control the pace as well. And again, like the good thing is I don't really have like really high overhead I have to stress about. So that's why like even like the quality of work that I deliver, or even the time that I can spend with each client now, it's like much more. Like now, the reason why I limit myself with just a certain slot as well is because I wanted to be able to deliver top quality service to each of my clients. And I wanted to be able to basically be, more hands-on with everyone. But in that way, I actually can charge more without any of my staff being involved as well. But I'm very strategic with what I offer though. Because like even with those like 3 to 5 clients, I have separate them into different slots. So I only take 2 clients which I can put in a lot of my time to do hands-on work. So other than that, like the rest of the 3, basically I'm kind of like just giving them strategy and helping them to train the staff. So it's more like strategy based. I'm very, very conscious about how to spend my time and energy now.
So now with all the free time that you have, what do you do?
Well, actually, recently, I'm very busy about launching the platform. But I guess like, if you ask me like, what do I do? Because usually Friday is my off time. The reason why I want to set Friday as my off time as well is because I'm a big believer of as a business owner, I wanted to set my holidays on my own term. Sometimes I will actually work on public holiday. As a business owner, I want to be able to know, or like, I wake up if I feel tired a little bit that day. If I don't have meeting, then I will basically just not work. And, like if I feel good that day, if it's a public holiday, I will still work. Like, why would I want to listen to how the government tells me when I want to take a break, right? Obviously, one reason that I would take into consideration is if a public holiday, it's kind of like you can spend time with the family because, everyone is on holiday. So that's the only reason that I would consider. 80% of the time, I pretty much set it on my own terms based on how I feel that day. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, actually, you also asked me how I announce and, promote my, going back to the previous question, yeah. I realized that I didn't really get to that.
It's so much fun talking.
Basically the client that I had, I was still working with them throughout the whole year last year. And this year, I guess it's a really good timing that you actually asked me now, because I actually have hosted a founders dinner just 2 weeks ago. But I am the type of person that I don't really like to make it like a big thing. I invited people to the founders dinner, and then on the spot, I actually announced, thanks everyone for coming. And I actually consider this as my launch dinner already. So I guess, one of the things that I really enjoy, or I feel like this is my mission to do, is I wanted to, because of my experience, I wanted to go against what the culture or the society tell us like what to do, and kind of like form a community where we can basically spark conversation and support each other to live the life that we want without listening to what the society tell us. So I actually have a WhatsApp group chat, which I would see as like a community group chat. It's called the Aligned Entrepreneur Support System. So, anyone who is interested to join, you feel like your values, it's like freedom and flexibility. And I feel like it's a movement where we need to support each other, because we all been there. When we take more than an hour lunch, we feel bad about it. And I feel like we kind of need each other to support and say, it's totally okay. I'm doing that as well. Like, let's just, not follow what the society tells us how long our lunch hour is, and kind of set it on our own terms. So that's the whole purpose of, having the WhatsApp group chat. It's free. Anyone can join as long as we align in with the same values. And those people, basically, I hosted a dinner for them 2 weeks ago. And I just told them, I'm ready to share my method, and and this is my launch dinner. Really excited. Basically, we were full house, and I think everybody was finding it very refreshing to have something like that. Most of the feedback that I collect that night is, a lot of them are actually in a lot of WhatsApp group chat, but all of them are very like business growing, kind of expansion focused. Whereas like they feel like they could be very authentic in this group and say, like actually we were drinking a little bit that night as well. I feel like the next day probably a lot of people feel tired. So I was the first one who say, I'm feeling a little bit tired today, so I'm just going to take it easy. And I'm very happy to hear that like people start to share like, I feel the same, so I have decided to take it easy today as well. I don't really want it to kind of polish the group to be having an image of like we are lazy and like work less. But again, it's like I feel like all the entrepreneur, like a successful entrepreneur, we should be able to be disciplined, but at the same time being able to take care of ourselves as well. So I think that's kind of like the whole point of having this community.
You're also touching on a very important aspect. I think to today's world, where we have technology, where we have people we can outsource work to, there's so much to explore, right? And it's just that some people haven't embraced the idea of exploring those things.
I think so, yeah. And I feel like, I think you touch on a very good point. You mentioned, the more the better, like how can I choose which marketing channels is good for the promotion, right? I think for me, I really values in-person relationship nurturing or even just a community relationship nurturing, because I feel like as a customer myself, there's so many messages, there's so many company wants to draw our eyeball and attention, so tired to even just go on social media. Obviously, I don't really want to become like one of them. And I'm actually quite against ad as well. So if I have the time and energy and the resources, I actually wanted to do like something like the founders dinner, just like more like something a bit more personal and creating a platform for people to, like intimate, humanized, humanistic, basically. Yeah. I feel like this is something that a lot of companies should do more rather than, placing ads. So I guess it's, I guess ads is, I'm not saying that I'm against it. For a lot of startup, it's a great way to take off, to draw awareness and stuff. But in a long term, I guess branding or even like more like an intimate approach to build a business. Yeah.
And you're talking about social media.
Social media is a weird thing. It's like a love-hate relationship kind of thing for me. Last year, the whole year, I actually deleted Instagram off my phone. I was like off social media, but obviously I have a team to help me to manage it and stuff. So now I kind of install it back, but I limit my time to go on it. And I think, again, whenever I'm on it, my intention is very clear, like what I want. So sometimes it's like, 5 minutes waiting for my friends to arrive in a coffee shop, then I'll go on Instagram to kill time. But I'm very conscious about the channels that I subscribe as well, because I definitely don't want social media to be able to influence what I think. Or I think even with phone, right? Not just social media, we just like kind of get on it when the hand is free. It's kind of crazy, right? So
but we have nothing to do, right?
Yeah. I limit myself using phone and also social media quite a lot. After I come back from Bali after Christmas, I actually got a work phone. So right now I'm separating my work number and also like personal number. And I don't really have the notification for the work number. So whenever I'm on computer, like I connect it to my work WhatsApp, and that's the only time that I connect to business WhatsApp. And then when I'm off it, I go back to my personal life. So I think that's kind of like a good technique to separate work life very well as well.
So you're like productivity guru.
I think so. Well, I think so.
Putting stuff in place,
putting stuff in boxes.
Yeah. Category is like this is personal and this is public, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I actually got kind of like a reputation as well. If people wanted to optimize thing or systemize thing, I'm the go-to person as well. I just like to makes things easier. I think there is a way to work with things like smarter. And again, it's my burnout experience that taught me, it's not the more the better. Like there is a way that we can do. And especially now with AI, right? With all these tools, it's just wonderful. And because of AI, I actually can cut down my overhead by 90% compared to, when I was running my agency. And that's how I also start leveraging more AI tool last year to help me to transform into the business that I'm building now.
So that's great. So that's why I say technology. I love technology, especially when you work.
Exactly.
Works, right?
Yeah. So I think it's so good.
So now that you have started the Aligned Entrepreneur, what's the future? I know it's a little bit. I know you just started.
Oh
it,
no! I'm in
the future.
No, I'm in the space already. So throw that question to me. My future, obviously, is my mission, right? My mission is just to really try to encourage more people to work less through working smarter, so then they can, have the freedom to live the life that they want. So I really hope that this platform is going to be shared by and not supported, or people find it useful. And the group coaching is one. The reason why I would launch the group coaching is because I only just do one-on-one coaching before, but the reason why I launched group coaching is I wanted to make it accessible for everyone. So I basically launched the cohort every quarter, and that's the short-term, immediate future. I want this to be as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. And then obviously, in the future, I really want this community to be able to start growing, so then the work culture could be redefined and reset.
Speaking of that, have you read the book called Shorter?
Oh, no. Do you think I should? Okay.
Yes, you should.
Okay.
But you're already living it, so maybe this.
That'd be wonderful.
Tips.
No, maybe maybe I can pick up some tips from that. I like reading books like that, and also having a group of community to come together and admit that I don't want to grow the business. And at the Founders Dinner is such a wonderful conversation that everybody's like, after you say that, I actually feel much more comfortable admitting that I don't want a big team. But that's my struggle before as well. Whenever people ask me doing a networking event, I said, I've got a team of 8, but inside me, it's I just feel so drained even talking about it, because I'm not the type of person that I like to manage a big team, even thinking about how to grow and, let alone thinking about growing to a 50-person agency is just not my thing. Some people love that. It's just for me, I like to be able to travel whenever I want, not having a team to manage, and someone still working in the business for me, and I think that's the best.
I really appreciate you saying that, because I think it takes a lot of guts to say that. But I don't want to grow. I'm happy with what I have.
Yes.
Because there's this, I guess, pressure from other people telling you that why wouldn't you want to grow? Or why shouldn't you grow since you're doing such amazing things, right?
Yeah.
So I think we come back to the quote, right, that I mentioned at the beginning. Your conclusion is that you realized that you didn't want yourself to be defined by other people.
Yes. One of the things that really helped me to recenter is the question that I asked myself, what's your definition of success? And I just realized freedom, being able to have enough energy and being present with my partner or my family, it's really important to me. And also location as well. I just love having the freedom to leave the country whenever I want. And that's something that it's really, really important to me as well. But I feel I think you hit a really good point as well. Values to me is really important. It's because obviously, running the agency experience kind of reinforced me that my values is really important. But also, I would never really forget my first job, my luxury fashion PR job. that was the first time that I feel like my values is so important. Like, because I remember when I worked in the company for 1 year, I submit my letter to the HR and I said, thanks for the opportunity, but I just feel like I'm ready to move on. I remember the HR told me, are you sure you wanted to leave now? Because if you stay 1 more week, you have double bonus. Without hesitation, I tell her, just let me go. I don't really want that money. I already got to a point, I feel like no matter how much money you pay me, if I'm not happy here, like there is no point. So actually that's the first moment, I would say, in my life, after graduated, that I feel like I have to take care, I have to really protect my values. Yeah.
And it's good that you realize that even at such a considered glamorous job, right?
Yeah. Well, no, 100%. Because everybody has their own journey. It takes, some people it's sooner, some people it's longer. But I definitely feel that when I was working in the glamorous company, or like a role, where everyone would be like, oh, wow. Or all the friends would be like, wow, you working for LV, or like you working for Cartier. But for me, it's just like, I just feel so empty inside. I don't really feel excited when people praise me and say, oh, you've got a really good job. And in my head, I was like, I don't really think it's a good job, because I don't really feel like I learned so much from it. And another thing is that I got very fortunate. After I left the company, actually my first freelancing project was I was helping Transformer red carpet in Hong Kong to do their event. So I was actually working directly with the Hollywood team. So I was like, okay, maybe movie is different. So I'll just try it and see how it goes. But then after that, again, I was very grateful that it was my first freelancing project, and it's such a lifetime kind of opportunity, right? So, but I think after that, it just kind of reconfirmed that it's not something I want to do, because again, it's like celebrity related and that kind of scene. I just feel like it looks really glamorous. All my friends were like asking me for tickets and stuff, but it just doesn't really make me happy. So basically my freelancing journey go on to a bit of try and error phase as well. So from an entertainment space, I actually moved to F&B. And that's the moment where I realized I actually really like it, even though I was still in PR. So the biggest difference is from taking care or like making interview with celebrity, I actually start to interview chef from a restaurant. And that's the first time that I actually really enjoy my job. And I was like, oh my God, that's completely different from what I have been doing, but it's still in the PR space. So actually that was quite a shocking moment where I arrived, and I was like, okay, so it's not that I'm not liking the nature of PR, but it's just the context, right? It's like, who am I speaking to? What am I doing? I find it very exciting where I speak to the chef. I remember the first project that I did, it's the Italian restaurants, and the chef basically got the recipe from his grandma. I was like, oh, that's a really interesting story, and I really want to help him to bring the story to all the audience. And I'm really excited. So I think that's the realization. Obviously, I have concluded for myself, I like small, intimate company, and I like to work with intimate kind of projects. And rather than, being in a really big event, having 100 people around you, but you just know that probably none of them will be any of your friends, or none of the conversation actually means anything. And I think that's the moment where I realized, okay, yeah, I should stay in communication, and I think I'm pretty good with marketing as well. That was the time, because I really liked what I was doing. I got more clients than ever. And that's the reason why I have saved up a little bit and be able to help me to launch my creative agency. Yeah.
So that has been quite a journey.
It is quite a journey, but yeah, I guess now we look back, it's like my PR job, and then my freelancing journey, my creative agency. It just keeps coming back to me. You need to realign with your values. You need to remember why you started, your intention, and if you align on those things, not only you will be more happy, but you'll be able to deliver excellent job where it basically will bring you a business that is profitable. Because if you don't really like doing what you do, it's hard to be profitable as well.
And I also see that throughout your journey, you always came back to the fact that if you're not happy, you're not going to do it.
Yeah, well, I think I have a character where if I know quite quickly what things work for me or not. And if I don't like it, I wouldn't settle for that. I wouldn't force myself to do it. And I think that's kind of like my strength, one of the strength, or you can say like weakness as well. But definitely I'm very quick to realize like what works for me and what not.
Are you unusual in Hong Kong?
Well, I wouldn't.
Yeah, are you one of the very few people who think that way? Because Hong Kong is so fast-paced, and that's what is so interesting, right? These dynamics.
I think I'm just. Yeah, well, I wouldn't say I'm very special, but I feel like I definitely would say that I'm very in tune with my values. Like I wouldn't do things that if it doesn't really makes me happy or bring me happiness in a way where it's again it's like value perspective. No matter how much you pay me, I'm not gonna do it. So I wouldn't say I'm very special. I definitely can see that, even like the community that I'm building, a lot of people are like that. But I just feel like it takes a lot of courage to do that. But also I have to thank my partner because he was the one who supported me through this journey. Without him, I probably wouldn't be able to step out of the way how I used to run the agency, and comes back to that's the reason why I started the whole community and also like the coaching platform, because community support is really, really important. Because without anyone coming to you and say you're doing the right thing, if it's aligned with your value, then you will feel like you're kind of failing. And that took me 2 years to come into a realization I need to restructure my agency. Because, it's my first agency that I built. Obviously, I was so attached to it. And even thinking about restructuring, it kind of makes me feel like I'm failing. But that is like a very emotionally conflicting period for me. But it just gets to a point where I just couldn't really see the way out, and that hit me hard to really try to reset everything. I'm lucky that I've got my partners on the side to really support me to transform through it. And now I'm happier than ever. I found my way out. I can see that there are a lot of people are probably going through the same journey or on the way to that probably they don't realize. And it's quite common right now and nowadays, I feel like. And I think definitely, we need each other's help to support to reshift and reset the culture. Or even just setting your own definition or on your own term, because my definition of success doesn't really equal yours, right? Like everybody should have their own definition of success. And I feel like everybody, when they first start their business, they should be able to get clarity on that. But, it's just like, I guess it's just city people life, right? Like, we're so busy. We never really have time to think about important questions like that. But honestly, it's not rocket science. It's not like something really complicated. It's just very simple questions. Like everybody should just take some time to pause and try to come back to their intention.
Before we end, I would just like to know, if you had to give yourself advice, right? Now that you've gone through this entire journey and then setting up the new business because you were so burnt out in your first business, what would be the foremost piece of advice you'll give yourself? Or even anyone out there who's really right now thinking, I think, what Mandy says is true. Maybe I should really realign and think about what I want to do in my business.
So I would think there are two core ones. So the first one would be working hard is not the answer. And the second one, it's always come back to your values. I think these two, I just want to kind of keep it short because I feel that I'll leave some room for people to digest what that means to them personally. But if you ask me to summarize my decade of entrepreneurship, I think that's the tool that I would really want to keep reminding everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you for...
We'll leave them something to think about.
Yeah.
So that they can ponder upon that.
Yeah. No, if anyone wants to have a chat with me after, pondering over these two questions, they can also reach out to me as well.
Yeah, which is a great way to ask you. So Mandy, where can people find you online?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is the THE and then Mandy Pao. And they can also go to the website. It's www.thealignedentrepreneur with the S at the end.com.
Okay, that's great. And if people still want to reach out to you for branding and marketing, is that even available to them?
Oh yes, 100%. Yeah. But I'm just a bit more selective with the projects that I'm taking now. But I'm still available if any project that comes in, I feel that I can help them with their business. So my creative agency name is called EQ International. So just search EQ International Hong Kong; they will be able to find it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mandy, for
thank you so much for having me too.
Very enlightening interview, because I was thinking to myself, when I get Mandy on, I want to talk about her business, but it's really about Mandy, right? Because without Mandy, there is no business.
I think that's kind of like the last thing that I would like to share. I feel like a lot of people are afraid to change because maybe what they want in life has changed. But I think it's completely normal to accept that our needs at different stage will change. So it's completely okay to change the business model that fits the needs that you want now. So I think that's a like a really good piece of last takeaway that I would like to share as well.
So that's your third piece of advice.
Yeah.
So that's good, because I think a lot of times, like you said, one is we need someone to voice it. And therefore we understand, someone else is also feeling that way.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, me and my
exactly thoughts. Yeah, just normalize it. Like, we can all talk about it, and it's no shame to talk about it. But again, it took me so long to be able to talk about it without any guilt and shame, and being able to just come out and say, I'm not proud of growing my agency. Like, I just want something simple. I just want to use freelancers. And I think that's obviously, if you go out and network with people, that might be the best pitch. But I feel like, again, if we normalize it, and, if we prioritize our own well-being and also our happiness, that's basically the beginning stage of finding the happiness, basically.
Yeah. So I should retitle this episode Finding Your Happiness.
Yeah, I think that's good. Finding your happiness, and by aligning with your values, right? Like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of building the business. Like, because otherwise, you just kind of like falling the trap of the society, and like the people around you like tells you that's the way how it should be, right? But it shouldn't.
Yeah. I truly enjoyed talking to you. What you've shared in this past hour has been very interesting, because I think a lot of people are afraid to say that. They're afraid to say that, one, they may not want to grow, and two is that if it's small, so what? Let them be small. They enjoy being small.
Exactly. Like, if it's small, if as long as you're happy, as long as it gives you the lifestyle that you want, why not?
And profits, right? I mean, you could be making more money and having less headaches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think it's just the title, right? There is a smarter way that you can keep everything smaller, but you're more profitable. That's the craziest part, right?
Yeah. And I believe thoroughly in that, because I mean, today with so much that we have, with digital, with tech, it should make our life easier, right? It should make our life better in so many ways, improve our lives. So thank you for really approaching that with all your heart and turning it into a business, and a viable one as well.
No, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this as well. So
thank you, Mandy. Definitely look forward to seeing more of the Aligned Entrepreneurs movement growing, and all the best in
thank you so much
coming years.
Yes,
thank you. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode featuring Mandy. Undoubtedly, her story has sparked a flurry of ideas in your mind, showcasing the transformative power within each of us. Mandy's authenticity and a commitment to uplifting others through her own experiences are truly inspiring. Now, take a moment to reflect on your own entrepreneurial journey. Are you experiencing fulfillment? Or do you sense a longing for something more profound? As Mandy wisely shared, evolution is natural, and there's no shame in recalibrating your aspirations as you evolve. What once held significance may now seem trivial, and that's perfectly okay. Deep within, the essence of being a purpose-driven entrepreneur is a path that promises sustainability and genuine fulfillment. When your endeavors align with your core values, life becomes imbued with meaning and joy effortlessly permeates your day. Consider this. What freedoms do you yearn for? Perhaps it's time to introspect and contemplate what changes you can instigate to manifest the freedoms of your life. I trust this episode has been both enlightening and thought-provoking for you. Remember to subscribe to the podcast and share this episode with a friend who might benefit from its insights. If you enjoyed today's discussion, do take a moment to rate and review the podcast. And if you have any thoughts or feedback, reach out to me via the contact form on womenpreneurs.asia.com. Until next time, thank you for your presence. Your support means the world, and I look forward to reconnecting with you in our next episode.